Hi everyone, Ryan Casey here for MASSP, bringing you the latest and greatest edition of Tech Bytes, tips and resources for educators. Today I have a really cool and free resource I want to share with you called Anchor. And Anchor is a great tool that you can use to help your building, your staff, or probably most importantly, your students enter the world of podcasting. So Anchor is owned by Spotify, and it's a free tool that allows you to record, edit, and upload your podcast episode out into the world so others can hear it. In this video, we're going to cover a couple different things, including how to get started with the app, how to edit and upload your audio file or your episode. We'll also talk about how to set up some of your podcast channel settings or preferences, and talk about applications in school. So let's go ahead and let's check it out. So there are two ways in which we can record our podcast. So we can do this from a laptop or a desktop and just going to anchor.fm. Again, that's anchor.fm. That's where I went to get started and to set up my free account. I believe I created it from using my Google Gmail account. So that's a really easy way for students with school emails, if you want, or teachers to set it up that way. So right from here, you can go through, you can see kind of some of the different tools at your disposal for recording, bringing in sound effects from a library or background music to play, save, upload your episode. What I actually want to do is show you how to use this from the Anchor app. Again, a free app, so if kids are on iPads or tablets, or even from their phone, or it's bring your own device, this is a really easy way to do this as well. So I'm going to pause for a second and switch over to my phone app. Okay, so now my phone is up on the screen. You can see I downloaded the Anchor app. Again, once you download the app, you'll want to log in or connect it with the account that you had already set up. Again, I already did this earlier. So this is the kind of episode builder area where you can go in. If you hit the big purple button where it says Tools, and we can look for just start recording, talking about our conversation that we want to share. We can look for music to add. There's a library of other items that maybe you've already recorded. So if you want to do this kind of in chunks, there's little interludes that can play. So these are typically things that play at the beginning or maybe at transition points throughout the podcast towards the end. And then there's other just more random sounds or sound effects. So again, if you have a group of people, they could actually do this virtually, which is kind of cool. If you want to invite friends to join, you can do that. Send them a link to the Anchor podcast that you are recording. I believe they all need to have this downloaded as well with accounts. Otherwise, if you're just sitting together in a quiet space and you have your tablet or your phone sitting around in the middle, we can hit the red record button. Welcome to the CPS Tiger Pride podcast. My name is Ryan Casey, and today I'm going to be sharing with you all the great things happening at our school in the upcoming month. We're going to even check in with some important people who have these great programs and after-school opportunities up and running. So I hope you enjoy the new podcast. I'm going to hit stop. We have some options here. You notice that there was a little button just a second ago that said you could flag it. So if you did have a screw up or something you wanted to go back to and fix, you could do that. Notice that it gives us the option to trim what we have. So if we didn't like the beginning or the end of that, you can drag your little item around to cut off certain points where you want it to stop and end. I'll go back. You can add in background music. So again, we mentioned that earlier. You can listen to it. We'll add that one in. I'm going to hit save now. So I'm going to call this my intro. And I'm going to add this recording to my episode. So the great part about this method, or what Anchor does a really nice job is it makes it easy to do this in chunks or parts. So then I would go back, I would record more, Maybe I want to record a closing or the middle of my podcast. Thanks for listening to the CPS Tiger Pride podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes coming out shortly. Save that. Now you'll see that I have 2 files. I can drag and drop. I can move these around. I can give them names if I want. Again, you can go back in and add additional details with additional music, sound effects, things like that. We are at the point now, though, we are going to publish this podcast. So you have to give it an episode title. I can give it a description. You can put in season information, episode information. So think again in terms of if you're going to be revisiting this with your students or your teachers are going to be revisiting this. You can change the published date if you want to do this right now, or if you want to change it to a different date, you can do that. I'm going to hit next. Yes, name and the URL probably sync up or are similar, so we want to choose a name that'll be easy for people to find. So I'm going to give this the podcast name. We're at the spot where we can choose a cover art. We can have them choose one for us. We can upload our logo. We can say save and finish later if we want. So if you don't complete this step, notice that you won't be able to share this out. So we better finish setting this up. So I'm going to let them choose one for us. Looks good. You can change the font and the location of the text on your cover art. Everything looks good. What category is it in? Put on education, English. And once we hit upload, it'll take or finish that process. It'll take us back to there's our very first episode. It's live. I can hit share and I can send this out and get a link or more options in which I want to share this out. And we just made our very first podcast episode. We're going to talk now about a couple of additional settings and things to think about. So just a couple other things I want to point out while we are here. You might see something about monetization. So obviously for semi-professionals, professionals, they want to use this to make money. Obviously for students and staff, that's probably not something you're going to do, so you'll be able to skip that. Otherwise, if you go down to the Your Podcast area, what's really cool here is you can get a list of all your different episodes, so you can go back and find information and send it. You can also get some really cool analytics to see how many people and when are they listening to it, at what points are they listening to it, how many total plays are you getting, what's your estimated audience reach. So it is pretty cool. I'll go back to the episodes list. You can also like make a little mini trailer for your podcast to let them know what it's all about. So it's a neat way to keep this all in one spot, and you can kind of see who's listening to the podcast. So this is one other thing I wanted to point out. So as I mentioned, this could be done right from on a Chromebook, from a laptop, whatever. We use the app, but I am back at my Anchor.fm dashboard. You can see there is the podcast we made. I can go back and send links or on social media to get people to come to this podcast. I can go down and take a look at my episodes. Again, I can see additional information here and can, again, download it, delete it, copy the link, get additional details. So all those things can happen here. If you want to be able to share that out, or students need to turn that in, or you want to share it with parents in a newsletter. So those are really the basics to get you started on podcasting in your building with your staff, with your students. I think there's a lot of different ways that you can use this to promote the great things happening in your building or in your district, and interviewing different important people that are making those things happen, on the ground level, so to speak. I could see this being used in a lot of different types of classrooms, whether it's book reviews or creating skits or sharing information about a historical figure or a scientific process. I mean, there's just really a lot of different ways this can be done. And if somebody goes on and just spends a few moments Google searching podcast ideas for classrooms, I think you can come up with a lot of different applications. And it's you saw with the app how easy it is to use. Really, you can do this in the elementary setting all the way up to the high school setting. So again, anchor.fm to get started. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember, you can find Tech Bytes by going to massp.com/techbytes, or by heading over to our YouTube channel, where we have hundreds of free videos and resources at your disposal. That is youtube.com/massp. We would love it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.